Hi viewers, this video I want to talk about watches and really how they can look very different in different lighting conditions. Sometimes if I'm out shopping with the wife, I stop by a jewellery store if it's stuffed full of luxury watches, and I'll just be staring through the window with my tongue hanging out for maybe half an hour. Sometimes it could be a long time, and before I realise my wife has long since given up and walked off. But I kind of think sometimes when you look at watches under those spotlights in the shop window, they look amazing, and they can look very different compared to how it looks in normal daylight. So I thought this would be a good video to just show you what the difference is between daylight and under a spotlight. So here we have the Seiko. So I'll start off with the daylight shots. This is in natural light. Looks beautiful, but you can see the spotlight. Suddenly you see a lot more variations, especially with the sunburst dial. Sunburst dial watches look amazing under spotlights. This Christopher Ward, the ceramic dial looks great in the daylight. I think this one under the spotlight, as you can see here, the flat dial doesn't look so good. I think the colour looks better in daylight. The Planet Ocean, yeah, that looks fantastic in all lights, to be honest with you. But you can see in the spotlight, it's really picks out all the lovely different variations of polishing on the sides of the case and the dial. Same with the Seamaster. I mean, that gloss dial looks fantastic in the daylight, but under the spotlights, I think the raised indices, especially when you've got the polished chrome edging, they look fantastic. And here the ceramic bezel just really pops as well. And here we have the Speedmaster. Again, beautiful watch in the daylight, but in the spotlights, all those silver markers and the beautiful depth of the dial with the different subdials looks really good in the spotlight. It seems to pick it out a lot more. And here we have the Breitling Super Ocean. Looks beautiful under daylight conditions. I think with the sort of rubberized insert on the bezel there, it doesn't look so good under the spotlights. But again, you can see it picks out all the chrome edging. And here's the Steelfish, which really pops in the daylight, but under the spotlights, that dial, look at that, it just really sings. It looks amazing. See how different it looks under the man-made lighting. Very, very different to the daylight. And here's the Tudor Hydronaut. Looks very sophisticated in the daylight. Quite in the spotlights, it's looks very different. I think again the sunburst dial really pops. It looks a little bit more blingy. And here's the Grand Seiko. Yeah, I mean, with those indices, the polishing, the Saratsu polishing looks beautiful in the daylight. That really is a great daylight looking watch. In the spotlights, I think it looks a little bit cheaper in my opinion, but again the sunburst dial really pops, but it looks better in the daylight in my opinion, that watch. But it does pick up those indices. Here's the Longines Spirit. Now this is a stunning watch in every condition, but if you look at the spotlights, again sunburst dial, but with those raised markers, the white hands, it just sings so well. It's just absolutely stunning. Look at that. That's one of the best looking watches under the spotlight. Fantastic. And with the different variations on polishing on the actual case. Yeah, that's a real wow watch under the spotlight. The RS65 Diver. Love that domed dial. The daylight really seems to pick that out well, whereas under the spotlights it doesn't stand out so well. Again, it's a more of a flat dial, but still, yeah, it still looks pretty good, but very different in those spotlights. The Rado Captain Cook, wonderful looking watch, really beautiful colour, that deep green, but look how different the bezel looks under the spotlights. It's like a totally different green, but that sunburst dial really just looks magnificent. Look at that. You don't see that in the daylight. It doesn't have that iridescent glow. Amazing, look at it. Yeah, that's a great watch under man-made lighting there. And here's the Eterna, the Contiki Diver, beautiful watch, really does look magnificent in the daylight. Under the artificial lighting, looks a little bit washed out. Does pick up the grain in that dial, that sort of sandpaper texture. Here's the Eterna Contiki forehands, and marvellous watch. I mean, this is just spectacular in every way. Under the natural light looks beautiful, but the spotlights, it does pick out the curvature of the dial that you don't see so easily in the daylight. And those indices as well, look at the way they sparkle in the artificial lighting. That looks amazing. But a great watch in both conditions, I think. And this is the Louis Erard Diver. Beautiful, got the domed glass again, and the daylight really picks up the reflections on that. But in the spotlights, look at that dial. I mean, that's a really proper blue sunburst dial, and it really does glow. It's so rich in colour under the spotlights. It just really is amazing. Very different. And all the different polishing again on the case and the bezel. It's got the brushed and the polished. Here's the Certina, the DSPH 200 vintage diver. Beautiful watch. Looks a bit flat under the artificial light. The Alpena Alpina 4. Yeah, lovely looking watch. It's very sophisticated looking in the daylight, and nice bezel, but under the spotlights you've got a silver sunburst dial, so that really looks good, but then it picks up all those other textures in the dial, the sub dials, and that chapter ring, the raised markers, beautiful. Nice bezel as well. This is the Edoc Stealth in Fleet Vintage Special Edition. Again, beautiful in the daylight, really glistens. Very different looking in the artificial lighting. Those orange flecks of paint on the markers look more obvious under the artificial light. And again, you've got that dial curvature which isn't so obvious in the daylight. Here's the Everard Champion 5 Grand Date. What a stunning watch this is. Very nice blue, but in the spotlights that blue just comes alive. It's a very much more vibrant look compared to the daylight one. Really amazing. And again, you've got these raised markers with the polished edge, lovely. And here's some more pictures of the sunburst dial versions. Really, they're the ones that benefit the most from artificial lighting. The spotlights pick up the sunburst dials much better than a normal flat dial. Look at that. Amazing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this rather different video. Maybe it's just me who's too nerdy to notice how watches look in different colour, in different lighting conditions. But if you're interested too, I hope this was helpful to you to see how they look. Thank you so much again for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.